Hi, it's Justyna here from Flight of the Phoenix Holistic Therapy. Today we continue with the anger. Nothing new there. Anger is the thing I'm dealing with. And also family history, my personal family history. So, and how it impacted me. So I'm using my personal stories to present, I guess, the concepts and how I'm healing from it, and how potentially you can um, see how that looks like, and maybe it can help you in the future. So I'm going to start by talking about the book I recently read, and I only read it once. It's a really good book by Dr. Harriet Lerner. It's called The Dance of Anger. A Woman's Guide to Changing the Pattern of Intimate Relationship. It looks like this, like a little pink book. I will share the link in description below, or wherever I can put it. Um, so this book is really interesting because it presents different stories from different perspectives, between daughter and mother, between father and his son, and mother. So there's concept of the triangulation in there. There is a concept of roles we play within the dance of arguing. Um, and it was really interesting, and how our history, generational history, impacts how we react in our life. So I think it's all very important and valid for my own personal healing. And yeah, just want to talk about it really. So let me start with my little story. Who I was when I grew up in my family. Um, Initially, I was just a witness, a observer. So I found myself in my family, mother, father, sister, and I started watching. And that's what we do, right? As children, this formative years, what is it, 0 to 7, we are like sponges and we just gather information from our environment. So I was just watching, observing. And what I saw was not, didn't feel right. And what I was witnessing was kind of a lot of anger cycles, raging anger, then silence, then no resolution, no apology, everything goes back to normal, and then it starts again. So it was like a vicious cycle of no resolution, of helplessness, shame, guilt, uh, the powerless feelings, a lot of noise. Basically, if I think of visual representation of how I felt as a child, I see myself sitting in a corner of a dark room, and there is this looming dark figure over me. Um, I'm sure there is a picture like that somewhere, and I'm just sitting there crying and I can't get out. I'm just sitting my back to the wall. That is how I visually can represent how I felt at that time. And with age, around 10, 11, I started um, expressing my dissatisfaction of my environment. Um, and I started siding with my father, to protect him, because I felt like he couldn't protect himself from my mother. Um, and the constant noise and the anger and the vile words, accusations that were coming out of her mouth. Um, And just a reminder, my mother has had a history of trauma herself. She been brought up by parents who survived the war. So it's important to know this, because obviously there is a huge impact after war, and people who took part in it. I can't even imagine what they can possibly um, be going through and dealing with. So anyway, I'm not going to talk about that, but all I can say is that in those days, money where was important. Money was important. Love was not important. You had to marry well. Um, Sometimes it wasn't your choice who you marry. And you have to work. It was communist times after war, and people had to work and do what they told and keep their head down. So this is not to explain my or justify my mother's behavior. However, she had her reasons, and she acted like she acted with what she had, with what she knew. So anyway, from that age, I for her the normal pattern was, we're gonna be arguing. I'm gonna tell you how I'm feeling. It's gonna be loud. Then they're gonna be silence because people just run away. So my father would go to another room, hide himself, or leave the house. Same behavior was done by my sister. She would leave the house. But me, I was just sitting there and watching this and occasionally stepping in. So I would step between my parents. In the argument, I would get involved. I would protect my father, just to show support for him. So that was a bit of triangulation there already, because I was third party that got involved into this mess. Um, and I guess my portrayal of how my mother was acting shaped um, how I acted myself in the future in my 20s, how I expressed myself, how I thought relationships are, and what I wanted them to be. Um, so if I say that there was just noise and then silence, no apology, no resolution, the situation felt helpless. It felt, I felt a profound feeling of shame, like shame of my family. Um, it wasn't something I have done. I was just ashamed in general for all the things because neighbors could hear everything. It was like police coming to my house because my mother would call police for my father when she was the culprit in the situation. But there was even a time when she wanted to call police on me, um, because just her anger created that blindness of motherly love or love to your own children or husband or whatever. It was rage and it was anger, and we all felt like we're not her family, like we are outsiders in the circle, and her family was her mommy and daddy, and that's it. Um, yeah, I still don't know why, but anyway, we're here now. So yes, that was the pattern we were playing. And I was playing that pattern myself later on with her. So there was quite a bit of disconnection between us when I was in my 20s. When I was teenager, I was just angry. And then I left home, and I hardly spoken to my mother. I really just engaged with my father. Um, till he died, and then there was no other choice, but we had to talk, and we had to kind of handle the situation. And my relationship started changing because we were both last standing. There was no one else. It's just me and my mother. Um, And I could say that me leaving Poland and going to London was because of my mother, was because I did not want to be ever again in that situation. I wanted to have peace. I didn't want to be that girl with my back against the wall. Unfortunately, I did put myself in situations in the future where um, my back was against the wall many times. But that's another story. But in this situation, I want to say yes, my relationship started changing, and I started kind of holding myself from expressing that much anger because I had a distance from my mother. I created distance. There's a lot of space. A lot now. It's continents and dividing us. So there is a lot of space between us, and anytime we engage in conversation, my mother will still pull some um, counter moves, as Dr. Lerner mentions in her book. So basically, she will try to engage me in argument because this is predictable behavior. This is what she understands. She understands that she can argue with me, then there will be silence, and we resume normal relationship of mother and daughter in this household. But this is not how I want to run these things because obviously anger is not healthy. It's very addictive, it's toxic, it gives you a sense of especially for me, Libra, like I righteousness, like I have valid point and I'm gonna tell you across what I mean, and you need to hear me, and I'm gonna raise my voice. There is a rush, there is a excitement, there is like I'm finally gonna get listened to. People will listen to me. This is the only time I get outcome, or by crying. Rarely people kind of listen to me when I'm calm. But that's again another story. There's so many stories. Anyway, yes, she provokes me still. So she's trying her counter moves to engage me into the old familiar pattern. And I must say that sometimes I do still get engaged, especially when the words cut deep. She can be very hurtful, and she's my mother, and I can't even stress enough the how that relationship impacted me as an adult. The conditional love, the lack of trust, lack of feeling safe, constantly choosing who I am to protect here, overprotect, whose responsibility is it, um, take stuff on myself that isn't mine, um, or completely detach or run away from people because it becomes too much, because they want too much from me. So it's just constant push and pull dynamics in this stuff, and that's how my relationship with my mother um, created who I am today. And I'm obviously very aware of those patterns now, and I can act on them. But I wanted to mention also, yeah, I think the triangulation bit. So triangulation means there's more than one person, two people involved in that dance of anger, in that pattern. So um, it usually takes two people, and they keep whatever one person says and the other reacts is predictable. It's something they engage, it's normal. Now, one person changes the moves, the other tries to pull it in to bring it to familiar and resume the previous pattern. So you have to, as a person, stay really strong if you want to break that pattern, break that cycle. You have to keep building a habit of not getting involved in the pattern again, which is constant work because that one person might never change. my view is that my mother will never change. She will always have something to say to attack me, and unfortunately, that's just way it is. And it has to be me who has to choose different all the time. So there is responsibility. If you don't want to get involved in that pattern again, you have to take charge of yourself. But triangulation. So yes, so triangulations, I was involved with it with my father and my mother. When there was my sister involved, I was stepping back. I don't know if it was self-preservation. I felt that my sister and me weren't really friends. We weren't, I think she was, I mean, at the time, I believed that she was resenting me. We didn't have good relationship. There was a huge gap between us. So I didn't feel like I need to protect her. I just stepped away, detached from the situation completely. With my father, I was protecting him. Then, when I had plenty of friendships when I was growing up, as a Libra, I would want to be liked by everyone. I had people-pleasing tendencies already, and I had no boundaries. And when one person was unhappy with another friend, I would still be on both sides. And to kind of accommodate one friend, I would listen to the gossip about the other friend and engaged in it myself, and then do the same on the other side. And suddenly everybody would be against me because I was involved with everyone, because I don't burn bridges. I like to have loads of people. Um, Happy with me and like me, which again is something we actively working on, healing. Um, where else? I brought triangulation into work as well, in a sense of kind of when I felt something was unjust, I would then involve another person to validate my point, to hear me out, to like, am I going crazy? Or this person is this and that. And like, can you confirm my belief? Can you give me advice? What would you do in my situation? It is a form of triangulation. I'm involving another person, giving them my power away to decide what should I do in this situation. Um, Yes, that would happen quite a lot. So it wasn't like it was done to me. I actively took part in involving people into that dance of anger with another person. Um, so that was really eye-opening, and I love this book. Just to remind you. So it's a good read. I feel like it has quite I had quite profound insights just for my own personal development around the patterns that I'm still to break. So yeah, I guess the time I kind of decided to change was when I started therapy. We know what we know, and we kind of need someone to um, show us the blind spots and kind of mirror to us what we're saying, to kind of discovers to have those insights to um, see our part as well in the healing. And I wanted to say that anger is very addictive, very addictive. It's obviously creates like a rush, cortisol, adrenaline flooding our bodies. Um, and in that moment of anger, we feel really strong, we feel powerful, we are on point. It's honestly, I have such a vocabulary when I argue that it's amazing. And I feel righteous and I feel dominant. I feel like I'm in control. But there are such consequences of anger. You can destroy completely your relationship. You can lose friends. You can lose job. You can, not that I ever had, but just so you know, um, you can hurt people that you really love. And then there is a physical impact of anger on your own body when those hormones flood your body. That entire rush, and the dopamine as well, the happy um, hormone reward, uh, that you achieved something when you didn't. It's a false feeling. Um, your body is very tense in anger. If you tactile like me, you will know that there is a tension in your chest, in your throat. There is redness. There is the heart beats faster. Your breath is shorter. You sweat. Your muscles are on, ready to fight. And yeah, for some people, that fuse is quite short between verbal abuse to physical. It can be very short, like was the case of my ex-partner. Um, is it okay? No, but anger can be very addictive, can be the only form of when we feel in control. Um, so what is the message? The message is educate yourself. You can only know what you know. So it's important to read, to recognize your patterns, to even take some training, to have your personal therapist to discover those patterns. The more you know, the better. The more you know about the history of your family, what made them who they were. Uh, Putting yourself in other people's shoes, understanding what motivates them, how is that impacting you, to what you should be saying no. Um, what is worth the squeeze, like sometimes arguments aren't worth it. It's if you want peace, you must walk away and step away, meditate, become aware, use breath work, yoga, whatever you're doing. I will be talking at some point about my things that I do, my modalities in like deeper, and how it impacts me. But yeah, I do a lot of things to release the anger that builds from memories. Yeah, because have you found yourself ever like coming back or dwelling all day on some argument and then like replaying in your head the scenario and then what would you say and what you should have said or what you like shouldn't say, and things like that? It's just all very addictive. It's so much easier to be angry and to destroy things than have a creative power, than to build. Um, it's a toxic behavior. And yeah, I just hope that my little story helped you to kind of pinpoint some things. And I really highly recommend that book. I'm reading another book as well, but not yet fully read it. But this is something that you should read. God damn it. Background. Da, 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 da. Oh, I can't do it. Anyway, yes, The Dance of Anger. That's the title. Um, you should read to have healthier relationships. And spot the red flags when they happen and own um your role in things as well, because it takes two to tango. Um it's not just one person. We enabling behaviors. Um and we have to own up to that as well, which is sometimes harsh truth. So yeah, I'm gonna leave you there. If you liked what you heard, like it, share it, subscribe to wherever you are or you find me. Um, and stay tuned for more. Take care. Bye bye.